How will using cheap golf balls versus expensive golf balls affect your game? Today, we're going to find out. So it's a common question that we get asked, will using cheaper golf balls really affect how I play, especially from the higher handicappers, because when I'm hitting it into greens or driving, I'm not hitting it long, I'm not spinning my chips. But we're going to go through a few factors that might help you decide whether you want to spend a little bit more or you want to spend a little bit less on your golf ball. The balls in question today, we've got the Mizuno Pro X. They come in at $37.99 per dozen. I managed to get these RB566Vs for $14.99. So quite a significant difference there. You're saving £23 per dozen. And that's probably one big factor you want to add in straight away. How many golf balls do you actually go through in a round of golf or in a month of golf? Because if you're going through loads, straight away you might already be into these. But let's take a look at some factors of performance that might change your mind. Now there's three categories that we're going to go through today. Number one, sound and feel, a huge one that you will see difference. This is the biggest difference you'll probably notice without any launch monitor or doing tests as you're going through, how they actually sound and they feel. And the best way to get a feel test literally straight out is when you've got them in your hand, if you were to just literally bite the skin of each golf ball, you'll feel a difference. The premium golf balls, the Mizuno Pro X, they have a urethane cover, so they feel a little bit softer away. The RB566 don't, so when you do this, they just feel firmer, and that'll come through in sound, and we interpret feel through sound as well. So I'll hit a couple of putts and just give you a little bit of feedback on that, and it's very preferential as well. This, you might prefer a firmer golf ball, you might prefer a softer one. That's down to you. All I would say is, if you think of like a Top Flight XL from back in the day, that was like a rock. No one liked them, they were just cheap. Right, let's hit the cheaper golf ball of the two to start with. Not bad, to be fair. Felt a little bit firm, I would say. If anything, just sounds a little bit firmer, just a little bit more of a click and a ting off the face. Where that premium one, you can just sort of feel that slight softness to it. Let's just hit two more. And this as well, when you're doing this, it's good to get an idea. That does definitely feel a little bit firmer. Went in the hole though, so it doesn't matter. When you do this, it's definitely good to do it not only with the putter, but also whilst you're hitting some chips. Get an idea of how they feel when they're coming off the club face. That sound, does it sound loud? Does it sound soft? What does it feel like? Does it feel harsh? Does it feel buttery when you're hitting some chips? And then also just be aware when you are chipping with them, how they react as well. Because even if you are a higher or a lower handicapper, you want that consistency to be involved. You want to say, well, I know the feel of it, I know what it's going to sound like, so when I hit a good shot, I know what to expect them from the run and flight as well. Now we've done the sound and feel part there, and the only real difference in terms of sound, this is the expensive ball, and this is the cheap. There's not much, it's just a little bit more high pitch with the expensive one, just sounds a little bit firmer. Then the only real noticeable difference is when you're chipping, the cheaper ball just pops out a little bit higher with a little less spin, so it has a little bit more run on it. But if you were to be aware of that and you were allowing yourself to factor that into your shots, absolutely fine. The next thing I want to test though is the durability, because if the balls are expensive and you're going through them at a rate of knots, not worth it. If the cheap ones as well aren't holding up, they're awful, you might actually be better spending a little bit more money and getting a bit more longevity out of them. Let's hit 10 wedges, brand new wedge, brand new ball with each, and see how they fare. hit the 10 wedges there, and there are some differences in them. Firstly, the expensive ball, that has scuffed up a little bit more, which is to be expected because it has that urethane cover, so a little bit softer, and we can see a few noticeable little gashes. Nothing major, they've actually improved from where they were a few years ago, but still noticeable wear on it. As where the cheap golf ball, hardly anything on there, there's just that little bit of colouring from the net, but overall doesn't even look like it's been hit. Again, it has that firmer cover, so I'm not expecting it to get cut up as much. So overall, very positive for the cheap ball there. Now, this is the big one. How do they stack up in terms of distance against one another? Now, when we think of distance, one of the common beliefs is that the cheaper ball goes a lot shorter. On the flip side, a lot of other people do think that the cheaper balls go a lot further because of the less spin. We're going to test it. Some 7-iron shots, some driver shots. Let's see what the numbers are saying. Let's see how they fare with the driver. How did the numbers stack up? Well, interestingly, they were very, very close. If we looked at the 7 irons of the cheap ball versus the expensive ball, what we will see is that when we look at the carry distance, there is 4 yards between them. Well, 4.9. Not much at all. 172 for the 7 irons there. So nothing really, you know, a third of a club maybe, we would argue there. The spin rate was pretty similar. The expensive ball spinning a little less at 5,300 and the cheaper ball spinning at 6.2. I'd actually probably want it to spin a little bit more around there. I did hit a few iffy ones with the expensive golf ball. When we get into the driver, again, the same story. 5 yards separate these golf balls. 260 and 265 yards for the expensive versus the cheap. Spin pretty much identical on those golf balls, and ball speed just a mile per hour faster on the expensive one. So for me, are cheaper balls worth that trade-off? If you are a higher handicapper and you're going through balls very quickly, no. The only real noticeable difference, I would say, is that when you get better around the greens, you'll want the control of the more expensive golf ball. They seem to come out a little bit lower, they bite a little bit more, and it feels like you just have a little bit more overall control. So, is it worth it for that price? Depends on what your budget is. But for me, if you're a higher handicapper or a irregular golfer who's going through balls at a rate of knots, stick with a good level cheap golf ball. Don't be buying lake balls. Invest around that sort of 15 to 20 pound mark and you should get a pretty good golf ball for your money there. Guys, as well, why not check out this video here where you can find a little bit more out about your driver.